I'm so glad you're with us on the Clark Howard Show, where it's about you and your wallet. I want you to learn ideas from me so that you can save more, spend less, and don't let anybody ever rip you off. On the web, we're at clark.com. When you have a question for me, clark.com/ask. Normally 20 minutes from now, you'd be hearing a Clark Rage, but today I have a Clark Rave. People doing the right thing, even putting their own lives on the line. We have a country made up of fantastic people. Of course, some people out there not so hot, but we sometimes sell ourselves short. And I think it's important to point out when people just spontaneously do phenomenal things. And later this hour, there's a pivot going on right now in travel. And for cruises and for airfares, for a number of factors, not just the calendar, deals are getting better. I want to tell you what you need to know to save money through the fall and winter, potentially into next spring. That's all coming your way in a half hour. Right now, I want to talk about buying a used car. Used cars are where most of the action is, because used cars are much less expensive on average than a new car, roughly half. The average used car sells for like half. That's where I think it's 80% of all the activity is. And there are new ways of buying used cars that are growing rapidly. Probably none growing quicker than Carvana, Carvana. Carvana is a company that just got $160 million more in funding. And I saw an update on what's going on with Carvana in the Arizona Republic. First, let me tell you what Carvana is, Carvana. It's a website and a phone app, originally designed really to be all about the phone, where the idea was millennials who have no thought of ever walking into a car dealership of any kind, new or used, and want to do everything on their smartphone, would only be interested in buying a used car if they could buy it on their phone. And so they set up this platform where you look at used cars available for sale, you pick out one you want, you buy it, and then, remember, you've never even seen the car, you've already bought it. You go and you take delivery from a car vending machine. You put in a token that presents your car, and you drive off in it. Don't even deal with a human being normally. And so it eliminates all the things that made people afraid of buying a car, which started with people being afraid of people at car dealerships. And so they set it up so that you could buy your car completely without having to interact with a human, which apparently is something that their research said millennials will not buy one if they have to talk to a human. Well, turns out that Carvana's market was very different than they thought it would be. The average age of a Carvana buyer is 42. Turned out they also like to look at cars on computers, not just on phones. And that what people are paying for cars is over a much wider range than they expected, with buyers of pretty much all ages buying from Carvana. And so that proved that it's the ease of buying that was very important to people, that knowing there were no games, no gimmicks, you went on the website or your phone, you saw the price, and that was it. You set up your purchase, you bought it, you drive off in it. Well, one of the things that Carvana does is you have 7 days from when you take delivery of the car to say, I don't want it for any reason at all, any reason, and they take the car back. And then they have a full coverage policy on the vehicle for 100 days. And why 100? I don't know, but they picked 100, and the 100 days or the first 4,189 miles. Anybody want to guess how they came up with 4,189 miles? What's the symbolism of that? Nobody? Nobody?
Is that how much an average person drives in 100 days?
You got it! You got it. Good job. So they said that everything bumper to bumper is covered for that point. Then after that would be whatever manufacturer's warranties left. Now, my thing, if you buy from Carvana, you buy from CarMax, you buy from any of these used car kind of superstory kind of things, you only want to buy from one that gives you the unconditional right to return for a refund for a period of time. And during that time period, even if you love the vehicle, you want to have it checked out by a mechanic of your choosing. Because there could be problems with the vehicle that they missed or they hope you miss. Now, Carvana at this point is in 15 metro areas, and they are Atlanta, Austin, Texas, Birmingham, Alabama, Charlotte, Dallas, Houston, Jacksonville, Florida, Miami, Nashville, Orlando, Raleigh, Richmond, San Antonio, Tampa, Washington, D.C. But they also have a program where they will fly you in to buy a car if you live in a place outside of their trading zone. It's called the Fly and Drive, and they pay $200 of your ticket to get to them to take delivery of the car you choose to buy. Everything about it, it's a guy named Ernie Garcia, who I've actually met before, who has been in the car business forever as a more traditional car guy. And he was like, why does everybody hate buying a car? And so he started this whole new thing specifically to cut out what people hate. Traditional car dealers, tradition is hard to break, but the business is changing. And I know there's a guy that people in the car business can't stand, the guy who runs the largest car dealership chain in the country. His name's Jackson. And people in the industry just despise him because he's always talking about, well, you got to be prepared. This is changing, that's changing. You should listen to him next time you're at one of your NADA meetings, because the way people want to do business with you is going through a radical transformation. The grind must end. You know what the grind means? That's what they call it at the car dealer, where they grind you down and get you to do business the way they want you to do it. But we're in an era where people have enough choices that you better serve them the way they want to be served. Mike is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Clark.
Mike, what's going on with you?
I've had a house for a little more than 10 years as an investment property, and I've kind of been thinking about selling it. And my tenant is very interested in purchasing it, but they want to do a deal where I would finance it for them. And I have never been a party on either side of that, and kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it, what I need to look out for. And
I have done owner financing so many times, and one time it blew up on me, and I did have the unfortunate experience of having to foreclose. But as a general practice, it's been very, very lucrative for me to provide the owner financing. Did these people... I was
wondering, is there kind of a general rule as to how much interest above, market rate that you would charge? I was thinking it would probably be 2 or 3% above what...
Actually, the way you base that is depending on how much down payment they're able to bring to the table. How much are they willing to pay as a percent of the purchase?
About 10%.
So at 10%, these are people who don't qualify, I guess, for good credit. They don't have a great credit score?
That is correct, but I must say these people have never missed a rental payment.
So in a case like that, you could go to one of the online tools and see what interest rates are based on credit score. Do you know what their score is?
I'm pretty sure it's in the low 600s.
All right. So you are in the right territory with looking at maybe a point and a half higher. 10% is a little thin on down payment when you're owner financing for somebody with a score in the sixes. But you have all the experience with these people that they always pay on time. And so you do have some money that they're going to have skin in the game with the 10% down. So
right.
They're still, even if you do a loan at, let's say, a point or point and a half above what interest rates would be for somebody with great credit, which would put you somewhere around, that'd be about 4.5 to 5, I guess. In today's interest rate environment, I think is where you'd be. Have you looked at all?
About right. I have, and one thing I was wondering if you have to really be able to show that these people will be able to continue making the payments to you. It seemed like a few years ago there was a lot of investors that did owner financing, and they would finance homes for people that they knew would probably not meet their payments, and then
yeah, but this is a different deal. You have a track record with these people.
That's my feeling.
And you have the 10% down. They have been faithful on-time payers, right?
Correct.
So I would feel more comfortable doing, it's not like some UFO comes to you with marginal credit and says, hey, I'd like to buy your house 10% down, and you don't know anything about them. You've got history with these people. And have they taken good care of the property?
Pretty good care of it. I mean, it's gotten a little beat up. They've been there for 10 years.
So, I mean, yeah, you couldn't have more history with somebody. So I think you'd take a chance with that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for your advice.
All right. And have the documents drawn up properly by a real estate lawyer, a real estate closing attorney.
For sure, and we're looking for you in North Carolina again.
All right. Come and get some Krispy Kremes, hot nows. Emily's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Clark. How are you?
Great, thank you. You are 22 and you're looking to save for your future.
Yes, sir.
That's great to hear.
So I don't know how to get started with it, though, because I've talked to my dad, and he suggested that I look into Acorns, but I feel like every time I go to research it, there's just not a ton of information on their website or on the app explaining how it's done.
Acorns is really neat because what you do is it gets you to take some amount of money that you spend every day and use that money, a portion of the money that you spend, to then calculate out money that you'll save as well. Okay. And they call it investing your spare change. But the idea is in little teeny bits and pieces from a young age, you start building up money that would normally just slip through your fingers.
Okay.
The fees are very low. It is legitimate, and it has stood so far the test of time. And the fee schedule for Acorns, I mean, it's not like if you were taking a few $1,000s and putting it in one of the choices that you hear me talk about, that you would be paying incredibly low expenses, but they are very, very low as they are. I'm not concerned that you're wiping out a lot of your money in their fees.
Okay.
So
okay.
I would feel totally comfortable doing Acorns.
Okay. And so the spare change, when it rounds up my dollars, then it comes out of my bank account and it's not there anymore, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's in your Acorns account being invested in stock type choices.
Okay. And then how do I make account for that in my Mint budgeting?
You know, I don't know if Acorns feeds into Mint. I don't know the answer to that. I've never had that question before. If it does, but you know, Mint, the great thing about Mint is about tracking your spending even more than tracking your investing. So I wouldn't even fret about it. I want you to set it and forget it, where you're like, oh, it does. Joel just found it will work with Mint, although I don't even see that as a big priority. You getting in the habit of saving and investing for the future, that's the habit I want you in, Emily. Build up that money. You create your independence. Normally at this moment, you'd be hearing a Clark-rageous moment, but today it's a Clark-rave. You know, at a time that Americans have lost faith in each other and our institutions, our country, there's so many good things that people do every day, even spontaneously. There's a story that was posted on a New York City website called Gotham.com, whatever. Anyway, this guy passed out and fell on the subway tracks in New York with the train speeding towards the station. Not one, not two, but 3 people jumped down to the tracks and helped lift this guy up to other people that were helping to get him out off the tracks on the platform, while other people ran down to where the train was approaching and waved frantically at the driver to stop. And the man was transported to the hospital. He is apparently going to be okay. And it all happened because people, without fear for their own safety or lives, just fellow subway travelers, did what they needed to save this guy. And I want you to remember that. How many times in your day are there things that people, without even thinking about it, do something nice for someone else or for each other?
What happens when secrets are revealed? That's the question at the heart of Pivot's Secret Lives of Americans. It's a groundbreaking documentary series that looks at the secrets we all keep, the strength it takes to reveal them to family and friends, and the realization that you are not alone. You can watch an all-new episode of Secret Lives of Americans this Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on Pivot. Secret Lives of Americans deals with some really important subjects, such as religious tolerance, addiction, transgender rights, same-sex marriage, and student debt. What makes this show truly unique is that each person filmed themselves with a handheld camera or phone over the course of several days. You see their lives change firsthand when they make the important decision to open up. Through each person's reveal, one thing becomes clear. It only takes one voice to change the story. Watch an all-new episode of Secret Lives of Americans this Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on Pivot, the television network from Participant Media. To find out how you can watch Pivot, go to pivot.tv.
Bargains, bargains, bargains. You bet. You know, the Clark Howard Show's about you learning ways to save more and spend less and avoid getting ripped off. And it is the kickoff of bargain season with a twist this year. By the way, our web address, clark.com, CLARK.com. You got a question for me? Clark.com/ask. So cruises are under pressure because cruise lines put so many ships in Europe. And because of fears of terrorism right now, Americans aren't going. And then the British, well, they're not spending a lot of money because the British pound has dropped in value so much because of the economic problems caused by the Brexit vote. And, I mean, just like everything's conspiring against the cruise lines. So, if you're not afraid and you like a deal, the cruise lines are dealing. So, for cruises this fall, even late summer, to Europe, there are wonderful deals. The airfares to Europe have dropped a lot for the same reason. So you can get there much more cheaply, and once you're there, you can go on one of the cruises in the Mediterranean or whatever and save money. But the cruise lines, all their stocks are way, 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 way down because their profits are not meeting targets. NCL, Norwegian Cruise Lines, told analysts that they're sailing their ships with a lot of empty cabins. You got the cabins empty. You don't get all the spending on board that people would normally do. And all that is a recipe for the cruise lines having to do what they've tried not to do for the last 2 years, and that is more heavily discount. In addition, Carnival, the world's largest cruise line, has announced they're moving ships back here that sail in certain other places in the world. And it means that we're going to have additional capacity, more cabins, but demand's not going to necessarily rise. So when you're looking at Caribbean cruises, particularly out of Florida, biggest cruise port, I think, in the United States now, Port Canaveral, that you're going to see that as the cruise lines reduce capacity elsewhere in the world and bring ships back to the United States, it's going to create pricing pressures for the cruise lines, better deals for you. On the airfare front, airfares historically dropped for the fall for travel after Labor Day. This year, the fares are cheaper as of August 23rd. Part of the factor for that is because of the fact that in more and more states, schools go back much earlier than they used to. And August, which used to be a peak demand month for travel, is not anymore. And by August 23rd this year, the airlines were looking at very poor sales of tickets to leisure travelers. So there are deals around the country. There are deals overseas. JetBlue has a sale today only out of its markets with very, very good fares for travel for the fall, starting for travel August 23rd. And this is a pattern right now in the travel industry. So you want to save money, you got it going on. I want to talk about one other form of travel, you riding around in a boat, like a pontoon or a motorboat, speedboat, whatever boat. You know, there's an old expression in boating. If you're a boater, you'll roll your eyes because you've heard it too many times in your life. The happiest day of your life is the day you bought your boat, and the happiest day of your life is the day you sold your boat. Because boats, well, they're money pits. A lot to take care of and all the rest. Well, now there are Airbnb kind of services where your boat that's sitting idle, you can essentially rent it to others by the day or the week. And this is for boats of all different sizes, generate some revenue to deal with that sinkhole of money that your boat represents. So there are a number of such services available now. For people that are into really fancy stuff, there are rental programs where you rent a really fancy, like ocean-going craft, and you can rent them with cruise and all that. Or more often, for most people, it's like having a boat on a lake or something and renting it instead of buying it. At Clark.com, we'll put up some of the sources you can use to get those boats, or if you've got a boat that's sitting there unloved, idle, just costing you money, get some money from that boat. Karen is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Clark. Thanks for taking my call.
Certainly. Karen, we're going to talk about all this happy stuff and saving money and all that to debt.
Yes, started rookie mistake, young mom. I never had the chance to go to college, and it was important to me that my boys go. So I sent them to 4-year Christian private colleges. And, we're just blue collar, my husband and I. And so we do have a little bit of student loan debt, and we've been paying our salary every month. And we're not really getting anywhere, and I can take the money out of our house to pay it off once and for all out of my equity. But I recently have heard you've been talking about after like 10 years of payment, sometimes they'll work with this.
That doesn't apply to you on a Parent Plus loan, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, that was my question.
Right, so your Parent Plus loans, how much in total do you have in dollars for your two kids?
About $54,000 left.
$54,000 is a lot, and it's carrying an interest rate, probably an average rate of about 6.75%. Is that about right?
Actually, it's not too bad. No, it's about 4%. I got but I've had these for 8 years. So they're
4%.
about 4%.
And is that fixed rate at 4%, or is that some form?
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I would not recommend you necessarily taking it against equity on your home. Tell me about your home. Do you own it free and clear, or would you be refinancing a mortgage? What would be your plan?
We would be refinancing. Yeah, we don't own it free and clear. We have about 8 years left on our mortgage, so we've got the money in to pull it out, refi it, and pull it out, and just get rid of Sally Mae out of our life.
All right. So I'm reluctant to proceed down this path, but I'm gonna talk this through with you.
Okay.
So if you were thinking about taking out a loan, you have 8 years left on your home. How long would it take you if you threw another $54,000 on your mortgage debt? How long a loan would you be thinking of taking out?
I would probably go to a 15-year loan.
So if you went to a 15-year loan, both you and your husband, do you have really great credit?
We do, thanks to your advice.
Thanks to your actions.
Yeah, we're like in the 815s, 820. Yeah, we have great credit. We have no other debt. We've lived really modestly, other than the college thing. And
your remaining balance on your mortgage, do you know what interest rate it carries for those remaining 8 years?
I do. We have a great loan there as well. We have like 3.75.
3.75. All right. So right now, if you were to refi and do a new 15-year, the average in the country for people with great credit is 2.7%.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually lower the rate you have for the remaining balance of your mortgage loan, and you could lower the rate that's a great rate, by the way, on that student loan debt that you're stuck with. Mm-hmm. You'd still end up in a much better place at the 2.7. So as reluctant as I am to say so, I think it would make sense for you to do the 15-year refi.
Okay.
And take out that student loan debt, because you're going to lower the rate and it would just benefit you overall all the way around.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we pay about $360 a month. And like I said, we've been paying it for 8 years, and I just feel like we're not getting anywhere.
You're probably not.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah, that amount of payment per month, you probably are only servicing the interest effectively.
Yes.
So if you can handle the payment on what would be the new 15-year loan, I would go for it. You know why? You heard me say how reluctant I am to say what I said?
I know.
Do you know why I'm so reluctant?
Because you don't want us to use our homes.
Yeah, I want you to have a place to live. I wouldn't want...
Exactly.
Push comes to shove, you can't pay, you don't have your home anymore. That's not going to happen, is it?
No.
Okay.
No. And I'm 53, so we're still kind of young. We've got some time ahead of it. We had our kids young, so...
So wait. You're 53 and your kids are adults.
Yeah. I'm
61 and I have a 10-year-old.
I know. Yeah.
I'm out of my mind, right?
No, it's great. You had your fun earlier. I'm having it now.
All right. Well, best to you and your husband and your family. Sarah is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Clark. How are you?
Great. What's going on today, Sarah?
I have a question about retirement savings and also saving for a down payment for a house. My husband just started a new job, and he has a 401k at work. And we're trying to decide whether to contribute the max to his 401k there or to not contribute anything and save for a down payment for our house.
Well, that is a stark either or. Either contribute zero or contribute to the max. What about somewhere in between?
Yeah, that's an option. I already contribute the max to my 401k, and my employer matches another $18,000. So we're already saving like $36,000 a year for retirement.
Wait. Your employer matches you dollar for dollar all the way up to $18,000?
They match 10% of salary. So that's what the $18,000 comes from. Yeah.
Wow, you're making a great salary too. So
I just got out of a grad school program, so I finally can make money. at the age of 34.
Yeah, but that's great money to be making. So let's talk about what your husband's doing. So at his place of work, on his 401k, is there any match?
Yeah, so they do match 25 cents on the dollar, but there's a vesting schedule, so he gets 20% after working there for 2 years, all the way up to 100% after he's worked there for over 6 years.
So wait, so they only do 25 cents on the dollar, but you don't actually get that money till you've shown you've been there long enough.
Yes.
All right, so I know it's weird, but your idea is the right thing to do. Your saving for retirement is so incredibly efficient at an instant doubling of your money with that massive employer match that I would say it would be okay in this case for him to save everything he can for the down payment for a house and save 0 pennies for retirement.
Okay. I thought you would say the opposite, actually, but okay.
So did I. I mean, look at this. This is 2 calls in a row that I have gone to opposite land. But, everybody's situation can have wrinkles that make it different. And your employer is so phenomenally generous, and his employer is so stingy that it makes this work to do just what you've choreographed here.
Okay, and would you say the same thing? So he's in a 401k right now, and his employer is kind of the horizon there. We're not sure. It may be a couple of years. It may be longer than that. We're just not really sure. Would you say the same thing even if he wouldn't have access to our 401k, say, in a few years?
So what would he do then? All right, so if you reach the point, you got the money you need for the down payment, you make the down payment on the house, you buy it, you move in. At that point, if he's working somewhere and there is no viable retirement plan, he is eligible to do a Roth even though you make a family income above the Roth, because if he has no access to a retirement plan at work, he would still be Roth eligible. On the other hand, if he's eligible for a retirement plan at work and it's a crummy one, even though he wouldn't participate, he would lose his eligibility for the Roth, as I understand the incredibly complicated regulations.
Okay.
But he would want to, as soon as you get to the point that you have purchased your home, that would be where I'd want him to start saving for retirement, even if he doesn't have the generosity of an employer with a meaningful match, because he's got to get some money put aside for his retirement. And what a great employer you have. Patricia's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Clark.
How are you? I'm having a
fine.
great day. I think you are going to lighten the mood for everyone, though, with these comedy writers at the nation's automakers. What did you get from your automaker, which is just ridiculous? I've gotten these, too.
Okay. In March of this past year, I received a letter saying that our vehicle was on the recall list for a defective airbag. There were none available, and that by the summer of this year, they would have bags for us, the new inflatable bags, that they would write it to us and tell us where to take our vehicle when they are available. But now I received in the end of July, we were on vacation, picked up our mail at the post office. We're in our vehicle driving along. I opened the thing, and it's an important recall. It's exactly like the first message, but in big red letters it says, we suggest that you avoid having a passenger sit in the front passenger seat until the recall repair has been performed.
And everybody's getting these. Everybody's getting these letters, Patricia, no matter what car maker they have, because the problem is Takata, the company that made these defective airbags that have deadly consequences if they explode on you, there's no replacements for these. So the automakers send these notices saying, hey, your car's dangerous, but we want you to not have anybody in it with you.
Correct.
That's
so
really reasonable, isn't it?
I said to my husband, should I go in the back seat? And he laughed. It's almost something that a comedian should get a hold of. But in fact, it's dangerous.
It is terribly dangerous, and the problem is these airbags, if they do explode, not from an impact, they just spontaneously explode, they're killing people. And so this is weird and funny, not in a ha-ha way, just so ironic that they send notices saying, hey, your car's not safe, but we don't know when we're going to have replacement parts for you, so maybe you shouldn't have anybody in the car.
Correct.
And they're not offering people loaner cars till this thing gets solved. So the one thing I'll say, Patricia, is that airbags on balance, even with the defective nature of these, are a safety feature that has saved more lives than the defect has almost certainly cost. But it's ridiculous that it's taking years to take care of this.
When you're going to buy a car, pricing information is great and necessary, but there's more to doing it than just the price. There's the actual buying experience. If you want to enjoy a better one, you should go to a TrueCar certified dealer. They're there to help you find the car that you want, and they're also what make TrueCar unique. With TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer that you choose, so you can lock in a guaranteed savings off the MSRP and enjoy a totally better buying experience. And by better, they also mean faster. Over 2 million cars have already been sold to TrueCar users who have visited their TrueCar certified dealer. And there are over 11,000 TrueCar certified dealers nationwide, so it's probably pretty easy to find one near you. And check this, for a new car, average TrueCar users save $3,279 off MSRP. All right, so you're probably wondering, how do I do this? It's easy. Just go to TrueCar.com or, right there on your phone, download the TrueCar app. You can find the car you want, see the TrueCar pricing curve, which shows you what other people in your area paid for the same car, and that way you can know you're getting a good price and feel confident. Then you'll get a guaranteed savings certificate from the TrueCar certified dealer. Go to the dealer, and your guaranteed savings off MSRP will be honored, and you enjoy a quick, easy experience. How's that for car buying? So when you're ready to buy a new car, or even a used one, visit TrueCar.com or download the TrueCar app and enjoy the better car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states.
Welcome to the Clark Howard Show, where it's about you learning ways to keep more of what you make. Our web address, clark.com. When you have a question for me, clark.com/ask. Coming up in a half hour, there are a number of services and products that are only available to you if you have a smartphone. But there are people, a significant number of Americans, who don't have a smartphone, don't use one, or don't really like them. But there are people starting to play the connection game, helping you connect to services that prior were only available on a smartphone. I'm going to fill you in on progress in that area and how cheaper, better things may be available to you even without having that iPhone or Android. I want to circle back to something that infuriated me. In a divided Washington where nothing ever gets done, in the dark of night, without any hearings, the Congress rushed a bipartisan bill through that the president signed almost immediately that outlawed you having information on what was in food you were buying in supermarkets, buying on store shelves. State of Vermont, first in the country to do so, passed a law requiring that it be disclosed to you if food had GMOs in them. Now, I couldn't care less if I'm eating GMOs. I happen to believe that there are a number of circumstances where GMOs are beneficial. But there are a lot of people in America who want nothing to do with them. And with all the issues our country faces, that the Congress thought that it was its best business to do something for the big money crowd and outlaw information being made available is outrageous. And an even greater insult to the American people, they did a fig leaf saying that food products could have something called an obscure thing called a QR reader label on them that you could take a smartphone, the aforementioned smartphone from a minute ago, and hold it up against it, and then it would take you to a special web address where you'd then be able to see whether a food item had GMOs in it or not. That is, well, this is a family-oriented show. I can't say what that is. But anyway, it is ridiculous. And let me tell you something. The Congress is so far behind the American people on this. Wall Street Journal ran a story about how consumer behavior has changed so much when people are buying products that if they pick up a product in the supermarket and it has a list of ingredients a mile long or has those things that none of us can pronounce on the side label on a food item, people put it back on the shelf. The food manufacturers having to remanufacture their goods. Is that what you'd call it? Reformulate their foods to get rid of things that are scary to people or would make somebody reluctant to buy it, and drill down an item just to the ingredients it really needs. And they have a pictogram here showing this item has just one ingredient on its label. Here's one that has 5 ingredients on the label. Here's another with 2. Here's another with 6. And I was really hungry one day, and I was at a convenience store, and I was looking at getting one of those nutrition-y bar-y things, whatever you call those things, power bar-y kind of things. They have like this whole long row. Talk about the paradox of choice. I'm looking at it, I'm like intimidated. There are so many of them. And I start looking at the labels. And these things that are supposedly healthy have all kinds of junk in them until I kept going till I found one that the calorie count was reasonable and the label was very short. Just a couple items in it. I was done. That was it. So this is a clear trend in the country, and I can tell you, you food manufacturers who think you won this big victory getting Congress to outlaw you having information. Now, it didn't say that a food manufacturer couldn't give the information, and that's going to become a difference in the marketplace. There are going to be people who disclose the information to you as part of their marketing campaign. We don't have blah, blah, blah in our food. And shame, shame, shame on each of you individuals as congressmen and each of you individually as senators, because people talk about how they hate the Congress, but they love their own congressman or senator. Let me tell you, this is trash when you do stuff like this. You individually, not you collectively. And let me tell you how the marketplace is moving. McDonald's, I didn't know this, their buns had that stuff Krista hates, high fructose corn syrup in them. Why do you hate high fructose corn syrup so much? Come on. Don't shake your head no.
I never said I hated it.
Yeah, you do.
I think sugar is like one of the most unhealthy things we can eat. So, but I just had told you that I read a story that I believed that at Princeton they did research with rats, and they fed them the same caloric intake of high fructose corn syrup and sugar, and the rats who had the high fructose corn syrup got obese faster. I mean, you still get obese just eating the sugar, but I just don't think, if you're going to have either one, I'd rather have something that is like in its purest form.
Well, that's what they're doing. They're going to sugar and getting rid of the high fructose corn syrup. But inquiring minds want to know, does all bread have sugar in it?
Most things, so sugar's added to so many foods you wouldn't believe it. You just would not believe it. And white stuff turns to sugar in your body anyway when you eat it.
Well, Chicken McNuggets are no longer going to have artificial preservatives in them. Wonder what's in Chicken McNuggets anyway. And they're getting rid of the antibiotic chicken. And they did that. They had promised they were going to do that some point in the future, and they've gotten it done already. And they're taking a lot of the things that scare people out of 50% of items on their menu. So no matter where you look, whether it's on the supermarket shelf or where you go eat, there is a clear movement in the country, and not everybody's going to care. It's like me not caring about the the modified, the genetically modified organisms, whatever GMOs. That's what it stands for, right? GMOs. The core and the key, though, is I want you to have information. It's why I'm such a fan of menus having the calorie counts, so that you have the information and you use it as you wish or ignore it as you choose. But you should have the information to be an informed consumer. I hate bans on products, and I especially despise a ban on your access to information. Paul is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Paul.
Hey, how you doing, Clark? Thanks
Great.
very much for having me on your show today.
Certainly. You are a would-be inventor or an inventor. Which are you, would-be or already are?
Would-be. A would-be inventor.
How far along are you with your idea?
I'm in. I'm all the way up until a couple of years into it, but I'm just trying to figure out how do I start from the ground and make sure I do as much as I possibly can on my end, so that nobody is sticking their fingers inside of my invention. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, that somebody steals your idea that you've spent this time working on.
Correct.
So there's a process a lot of people do where they do a preliminary step called a provisional patent.
Okay.
That you can seek on your own. In fact, at NOLO.com, NOLO.com.
NOLO.com.
Yeah, you can see how to protect your intellectual property, how to patent the idea fully, if that's what you wish to do.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, the patent, although there's a lot of concern and fear that somebody will steal an idea that you have that's proprietary, the big issue for you as an inventor is how to get the idea to market, how to get it sold, how to get the word out there that you have this thing. How far are you away from that stage of trying to actually sell it?
I'm not anywhere near that stage. I'm just trying to figure out if I know there's a market for this item. I know who I want, which industry I want to market it to. I know which manufacturer and company that I want to go for as far as pitching the sale to it. Because of the company's reputation, I think I have that on track. It's just trying to figure out how to go about the beginning stages. Because once I get the beginning stages rolling, I strongly feel that I'll be able to the rest of it will fall into place.
Have you built a prototype yet?
No. This is I'm very, very new to this, and it's I've been researching on ways on how I want to go about building a prototype and understanding the schematics behind the basic necessities, and then building up from that.
You're learning so much just by this process.
Yes, I am.
Wow. You don't even know where for the rest of your life the knowledge you're gaining is going to come back to benefit you, even beyond this idea, this invention.
Well, they say every person has $1 million idea, and hopefully I can turn my idea into an invention. Maybe my son will have an idea, and I can actually help him out, so he won't have to scurry around trying to figure out where to start.
And Paul, by the way, you talk about you have a targeted company in mind that could manufacture and all that, but a lot of people now, once you have that idea fully gelled, take it to something like Kickstarter. If you're familiar with Kickstarter.
No, I'm not. Kickstarter.
Go look at Kickstarter. Indiegogo would be another one to look at.
Indiegogo?
Yeah. And what happens at these sites is you bring your idea forward to others who then invest in your idea. Okay. And instead of you having a big manufacturing company you're trying to sell it to and you hope they don't come up with a way to steal it, you actually are the manufacturer.
Okay, and these companies, they're basically just doing an investment. It's almost
right. It's where a bunch of individuals, they're like almost like a social media platform where people come in together and agree to fund your idea.
Okay, kind of silly, almost like that movie Joy. I don't know if you ever seen it.
I have not.
Movie. with Jennifer Lawrence, she had an idea, and she was trying to find marketers to instill money into her product.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay.
But I think I gave you a lot to digest now.
Yes.
Start at no low with the whole way of protecting the idea, and then look at these alternatives to going to a big company.
Okay.
And then you keep control, much more control for much longer.
Okay.
And you rely on the wisdom of your fellow Americans. If they see the promise in what you're trying to do, they put up the money to help you make it happen.
Okay, but go to Nolo first, and that's where my journey begins, and then go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo.
I'd go to both. Look at both. Become familiar with how they work. Look how other people pitch their ideas on Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Okay.
And see if maybe you have a path that way. Because a lot of times going to the big companies is a big exercise in frustration, even if they might benefit from what you have, as well as you create a benefit for people who would buy what you have come up with. A lot of times it's hard to break through that strong exterior wall of a big American corporation. DePaul is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Clark, for taking my call.
Certainly. You have a question about the time in life when we're not doing so well, right?
That is correct. Well, it's not a concern right now, however. It became a concern when I saw one of my relatives having terminal illness, and I saw her extremely worried about her child and education. So I believe it's about time that I consider creating a will for myself. I am a single mother. I have 2 college-going children, and I believe I want them to be happy, safe, and secured if something were to happen to me.
Okay, and with you said your kids are already basically young adults. They're both college students, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so the most important thing for you to do as a parent is not relevant in their case, and that is to make sure you're controlling who would raise them in the event of your untimely passing. But there's still other things like who gets what and what you would hope to have with whatever you have left behind, and that's why you would do a will. Is there anything complicated about your life? Do you own your own business? Do you make a huge amount of money? Anything like that?
Nope. Average American making average money. I'm an information technology project manager, and just own a house and a minor amount of assets that as an average American. Nothing special, nothing extraordinary.
Well, I would tell you that you should be fine doing a will at a website that I just talked about when the gentleman was talking with me about his invention idea, and that's nolo.com, Nolo.com. They sell a program called Willmaker.
Okay.
And Willmaker is a very trusted source to do a simple will, and the cost of Willmaker is $54, and although sometimes people find it on sale at various websites, and it's a very simple tutorial question and answer kind of thing where it prompts you to make sure you're doing the will as you intend, and I think you'll find it very, very approachable and easy to use. If you don't find it approachable, though, and you get confused, what do you think I'd want you to do?
Probably contact a lawyer.
That is correct. That is exactly right. Is you don't want to end up in a situation where you feel like you're confused and are you really trying to do what you wanted to do? That's when you punt and you go see the lawyer.
Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
I'm glad you're with us on the Clark Howard Show, where it's about you learning ways to keep more of what you make. Our web address, clark.com. You have a question for me, clark.com/ask. But it's not just me you can ask a question of. You may not know this, but we answer questions off the air for free 9 hours a day. Not on the weekends, but 9 hours Monday through Friday. You can talk with a member of Team Clark. And as I said, it is free. It has been a service of the Clark Howard Show now for almost 24 years. So when you have a question, something that's bothering you, you don't know how to deal with it, just call us. The information how to call and the hours were available at clark.com. Calling, right? It's like an obsolete thing. Well, not really. But I know with my teenage daughter, the idea of talking to somebody on the phone sounds like so from a different era. I mean, why would anybody do that? Well, there are people who aren't into the whole smartphone thing, may not have one. The percent of people in the United States who use a traditional or a feature phone versus a smartphone, I think is somewhere around 30%. And so many services today are available only to people who use a smartphone. Well, now there are smart entrepreneurs that are seizing an opportunity when there are services that you can only access by smartphone, and you have people who don't have smartphones that could benefit from that service. They're operating as go-betweens. One such service is GoGo Grandparent. GoGo Grandparent helps people who maybe need to get around in an Uber car or a Lyft car, that they take care of that for you. And it is just such a smart concept. It boosts the cost of the Uber or Lyft ride by about $2.50. And I'm looking at their website right now. It says an assistant for folks that don't like smartphones. And I think about this with someone who maybe isn't feeling well and they'd like to have food delivered to them or something, that you can use this service and have food delivered. Or if somebody is at a point that maybe they shouldn't be driving their car anymore, and they may live in an area where there's no easy way to get around other than in a personal vehicle, no public transportation or whatever. And then again, they don't have that smartphone. They would just, if they have an account, they just call GoGo Grandparent, tell them what service they want, and then they take care of it for you. I know in many families, with my late mom, we went through this where her driving deteriorated enough and she wouldn't quit driving. So we did something, it's probably against the law. We, as her kids, just went and took her car away one day. She went down to get in her car and it wasn't there anymore. We had to do it because she had gotten to a point behind the wheel that she was a danger to herself or others. And in her case, what we did was we then sat down with Mom, and this was before Uber and Lyft and all that, and we set her up an account with a taxi service, and she'd call a taxi. This is kind of the equivalent of that, but doing it with Uber or Lyft, which tend to be cheaper and more readily available on demand. And I want you to know there are other entrepreneurial opportunities serving people in this digital era who are still not into it. But there are services that would be great for them to access. So how about you? Do you have something you know that, let's say, an aging relative could really benefit from that you do, but there's no easy way for them to do it today? If this fits your family situation, though, check out gogograndparent.com. Roger's with us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Roger.
Hello. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Roger. How can I be of service to you?
Well, I have a question for you. I am a member of a warehouse club, and they publish a magazine every month. And in this month's issue, they were touting a company or a thing called Complete ID by CSID. And I just wondered what you thought about it.
Well, this is one of those credit monitoring things, and because you're a member of the Warehouse Club, they give you a cheaper monthly thing.
Correct.
I don't think those things are worth spending the money on.
Okay.
Any of the credit monitorings, whether it's from the Warehouse Club or anywhere else, because credit monitoring is so widely available now for free. And there are several organizations now where you can do the credit monitoring for free. The one that's getting a lot of buzz right now is Civic, CIVIC. You heard of that?
I have not.
Civic.com is free to you because a lot of companies that are getting hit so hard financially by identity thieves are essentially subsidizing the operation of Civic so you can have the credit monitoring for free. In addition, have you ever heard me talk about Credit Karma?
Yes.
They offer credit monitoring for free, in addition to you getting the free credit scores. And there's another one called Credit Sesame.
Okay.
That is also offering free credit monitoring. And they offer, if I remember, like Credit Karma, I think they offer a free access to credit score as well. So there's nothing about this offer you've seen that is a ripoff or dishonest or anything like that. It's just no reason for you to spend the money for it when it's so widely available without you having to pay.
They made it sound like that it was a little bit quicker than you would find in one of the other ones you've mentioned. I'll just read one little blurb about it. It says, regardless of how careful you are, you're at risk of having personal information stolen. It's a matter of when, not if.
Oh, yeah.
The key to mitigating the damage is how quickly you become aware of a breach and deal with it. So they're making it sound like that, I always thought the karma.com and things like that, you would get a notice on your email, and then it may be a day later, or I don't know. But this made it sound like it was quicker.
I'm not aware of there being, I've not heard of, they call that latency. I've not heard of a delay like that with you having a day in between. If you're really, really worried about somebody messing with your good name and your credit, all these things we're talking about are just, they're child's play compared to the real thing, which is to go fully into credit freeze.
Right.
And so if you're motivated at this point, Roger, to act, the action I would take is freeze your credit.
Okay.
And I've got my credit freeze guide at Clark.com where you could set that up, which I think is vastly more effective than the paid strategy you talked about or any of the free ones that I talked about. Jim joins us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, Jim.
Hey, how you doing today?
Great, thank you.
Great. Well, recently I started my own business about 6 years ago, and it's finally starting to pay off.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And in the process, I've lost the ability to contribute to my Roth IRA, and I've lost the ability to have to be able to lower my adjusted gross income by contributing to a simple IRA, and so I have found myself needing some tax or some advice in investing in things such as that. And so,
right, so you confused me for a second. Mm-hmm. If you're doing really well with your business, mm-hmm. you can throw huge amounts of money into a SEP, a Simplified Employee Pension, mm-hmm. and you're able to put aside, depending on how profitable your business is, up to $53,000 a year that would reduce your taxable income by that amount each year.
Oh, well, I guess I wasn't aware of that. I thought if I made above a certain amount that I would not be able to do that.
No, if this is your own business, you're self-employed, a SEP is the easy answer to being able to shelter enormous amounts for retirement. The other thing you have accessible to you, do you have employees or no?
I do. Mm-hmm.
How many employees do you have?
8.
Right. So the second alternative I was going to mention would not apply to you, but I want to mention it to others that are self-employed and they're the only employee. It's called a self-employed or solo 401k, mm-hmm. where an individual now running his or her own thing or working as an independent contractor can have a 401k at ultra low cost, just like a huge company might offer. But mm-hmm. if you do the SEP, you would have to, after an employee has been with you, I think it's 3 years or longer, you would have to also include them in the SEP plan. And I don't know how you feel about that.
I think that would be fine. I don't mind helping my employees out in some type of way if that's something good for them. I don't mind doing it.
That's great. So a SEP, what's wonderful about a SEP is the administrative cost for you to set it up is zero.
Okay.
There is no cost at all, and SEPs are done by all my low-cost buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, T. Rowe Price, they all do them. And the paperwork takes you, 30 to 45 seconds to fill out.
Okay.
To set one up. And as far as what I would put it in, just keep it simple at first. I would do the target retirement fund choice.
Yes, I already have that. I sure do.
So you could just open the SEP, and each year your accountant can tell you how much you could put into the SEP.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess I wasn't aware that it would bring down my adjusted gross income. Would if it brings it down enough, could I then also be freed up to contribute back to the Roth again?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm wondering why my accountant didn't know that. That's troublesome to me right there.
Well, in fairness, your accountant may not have a lot of experience with SEPs.
Yeah. Well, he's the one that told me I probably need to start to seek a financial planner, which was kind of my original question there, was looking at the different ones.
Oh, how would I pick? Okay, so there's two great organizations to find a fee-only financial planner.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is NAPFA, NAPFA.org.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've contacted one off of there, and it appears to me that most of their fees are hitting somewhere around 1% of assets.
Right.
But the local one also has basically over the first year said normally with all the meetings and stuff we'll have hit somewhere between $5,000 to $7,500 to get things started up. Yeah. But I was also looking at, since I do have some accounts with as you said, your low cost buddies, are their advisors just as good as a local, somebody who I can meet face to face?
Just as good. I'd say they're different. It's not as personal, but I think you'd really benefit if you already have a relationship with one of my low cost friends. If you were to set up your SEP with them, and you would be able to get advice from them. They all offer their own form of advice programs, and it would be significantly less than the 1%. Shane is with us on the Clark Howard Show. Shane, you want to talk about the PlayStation Vue. You're only the second person ever to mention that device to me.
Yes, it's great to talk to you, Clark.
Great to have you here.
I've been using the PlayStation Vue for about 3 or 4 months now, and it saved us tremendously on our TV bill over just, commercial or satellite or any of that.
And you pay, is it $49 a month for PlayStation Vue?
We have the middle tier, so it's $34.99, and then, the taxes on top of that.
So what this is Sony has its own television streaming product, and they did it as a way of trying to promote alternative use for the PlayStation unit. And it is a platform that you get a beautiful picture on your TV, don't you?
Correct. Yeah, it works great.
And how much are you saving using the Vue versus the PlayStation Vue television streaming product versus what you were paying before for pay TV?
It was just about $50 a month cut.
$50, that's $600 a year back in your pocket.
Yeah, and I think we even actually get a few more sports channels with this package.
And so if you go to the website you go to is playstation.com/vue, VUE. If you have a PlayStation sitting around your house and it's kind of gathering dust, it's a great suggestion you have, Shane, to look at it as your way of streaming video content. Jig joins us on the Clark Howard Show. Hi, how are you?
Clark, how are you doing?
Great, thank you. You got a college question for me.
Yes, I have a 529 plan for both my daughters, and I have a question about that. So Recently, I heard that if you have a 529 plan and your kids get a scholarship, you have to first exhaust the 529 plan. Is that true?
That is not true.
Okay.
Not true at all. If your kids scholarship out, then they scholarship out. In fact, the law recognizes and rewards families whose kids are brilliant enough that they end up not needing all the 529 money because they get a lot of scholarship money. And that people who are in that situation, you don't pay the 10% federal penalty for not using the 529 money for college.
Okay.
You have to pay tax on earnings where you wouldn't have otherwise, but you don't pay any penalty. And with you having two daughters, let's say your first scholarship's out. Knock on wood, that's a very lucky thing to have a kid who does that. But you then can transfer the first daughter's 529 money to the second daughter, tax-free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they offer great flexibility, and no, there is no discrimination on scholarships to somebody or because they have 529 money.
And then a follow-up question: is it true that your scholarship, its chance of getting scholarships are reduced if you have a 529 plan?
The chance of getting a scholarship, what?
Are reduced if you have a 529 plan?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Now, if a school is trying to decide needs-based versus a scholarship is generally earned because somebody's a superstar, right?
Right.
So no effect from a 529. Needs-based financial packages, depending on how a financial aid office does it, they may say, hey, this kid's parents have all this money in 529. Why are we going to give needs-based to this kid? That could happen.
Okay.
But that's up to each school. But scholarships are their own thing, and scholarships, because they're earned based on some form of merit, they are separate and apart from any consideration involving a 529.
All right. Thank you for answering that.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Howard Podcast. Download new episodes every Monday through Friday at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com. Stay tuned for the latest AP news headlines from Podcast One right after this. When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
AP Update, I'm Ross Simpson. High drama ended late today at the Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan when police officers grabbed a young man who was climbing up the glass facade of the 58-story home of Donald Trump's business, campaign headquarters, and where he and his family live.
It was a game of cat and mouse for at least 2.5 hours as the guy evaded cops and made it to about the 21st floor, where police had removed several windows to stop him. Since the climber was harnessed and fairly safe, cops grabbed him and pulled him inside the building as he tried to resist. A huge cheer went up on the street when they got him. He started climbing around 4 in the afternoon wearing a baseball cap, black t-shirt, and beige shorts with 4 suction cups and a backpack with a 5th cup. Julie Walker, New York.
Donald Trump wasn't at the Trump Tower when all this unfolded. He was headed to a campaign event this evening in Florida. AP Update, I'm Ross Simpson.